In DC, for DC. DC Radio, 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov.
Welcome to Inside Style, DCRadio.gov 96.3 HD4. I am your host, George Worrell, and thank you for tuning in today. I have the pleasure of introducing my guest today, Dr. Unique Morris Hughes, who is the Director of the Department of Employment Services, State Administrator of Labor, Workforce, and the Training Agency. Dr. Morris Hughes, welcome.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me. And I want to, before we even get started, I have to put this on the table. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for pouring into our young people. Thank you for inspiring our young people. I don't know if your listeners and viewers really understand how much you do outside of this podcast, but for many years you've had a career, and a little piece of this is what you do for us in the summer. So I want to thank you for everything you do.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you so much. I'm looking at, I was watching a YouTube, it was called Pioneer Fellows at TED Talk. And it talked about education and that you believed in teaching and getting, tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so I come from very humble beginnings where education was freedom. It was a place where you could be whoever you are, and it was a safe place, and learning was freedom. And so I really believe in that. I really value the gift that has been given to me from my family, from the educators who taught me. And so that is one of my North Stars. That's a place where I start. And so I love this idea of lifelong learning because it is a place where you get to think and dream and really be whoever you want in a really safe space. And so I try to start from there.
So was that your way of, did you see that through college, going to Johnson C. Smith?
Yes. Yeah. So, I'm a first generation college graduate, on up, and it was through education that saved my life. Like I said, I come from very humble beginnings. I've been homeless. I've had all of these really life-shaping experiences, and college, especially attending an HBCU. I've gone to 2 HBCUs, Johnson C. Smith University, and then the University of Maryland Eastern Shore for my PhD, where I got to not only learn, but see that Black people are not a monolith. I got to be free in my expression and have pride in being a Black woman, and it really grounded me and helped to shape the career that I have today.
And speaking of that, we have to come through you for that next step. Do you know what I mean? Whether if it's being employed, unemployed, coming from, trying situations, returning citizens, all of that comes through your office. How are you able to just mix all that together and kind of keep it flowing, and what should we know about that?
Yeah, so it's mental jumping jacks, and it's mental Olympics and gymnastics. So, I oversee the Department of Employment Services, which is the state labor and workforce agency in the district. So I'm really like the equivalent of the Secretary of Labor, but for DC.
Which you got out of receivership, the first 18 months?
So a little bit about my background. I worked for the State Education Office. We have that in common. And the District of Columbia public education system was on high risk. I think I'm a fixer. And, the one thing about like a calling and a gift is sometimes we don't embrace it and lead into it. And I remember not wanting to embrace being a fixer. I was like, I'm not going, that's like I'm something else, right? And so I worked with a really fabulous team and led this effort to get off of high risk, and was asked to come and do something similar at DOES. And then I beat my record that I had at Aussie, and I finally decided to accept the fact that maybe that is who I am. That's my calling, and that's who I am. But what you were saying about all of these areas I'm responsible for at DOES, it is mental Olympics. And then, the other thing I'm really proud of is I'm a mom of really a phenomenal 8-year-old who not only keeps me humble, but keeps me honest. Kids have the ability of putting a mirror up to you so you see a reflection of yourself. And so I do the work that I do at DOES, and I have this tremendous, gift of being a mom, all at the same time. So it is mental Olympics. But, with grace of God and a strong team at work and a village, I somehow pull it off every day. But it's a challenge. It's a challenge.
Growing up, all I thought about when you thought about employment services was, if you were unemployed, you would go and file and get a check. And, it wasn't until I moved down here and had some experience that all the other components, and one of the things that stands out for me, and to commend you and your team, is the returning citizens. Because as a person coming from a trying situation or have made a mistake, or there was no hope. And a great majority of the people who are returning are of color.
That's right.
So I will always say, and this is, my personal thinking, is there are always strikes already.
That's right.
Woman, male,
yes.
Black, those are those strikes.
Yes.
I don't think that they're going to change anytime soon, so you should know about them. So tell us about how that is come to play.
I think all of us could be one or two mistakes away from a different life. And, I'm a child of a parent who's been incarcerated. And so I understand the importance of second chances. Then when you talk about these, these barriers or these strikes, I call them like institutional barriers. They're so embedded in society that, oftentimes we don't have control of really knocking them down or shifting them. So,
or even knowing that they're there.
Right? But, I understand that we're all one or two mistakes away from a different lifestyle. And, I say this in jest, but there's some truth to this. Had there been the internet and social media, I'm not sure I'd have had the same life that I'd have now, because in college, we were living our best lives, but we're all just kind of one or two mistakes away. And so the Returning Citizen program that we run at DOES, namely Project Empowerment, really gives hope. And the idea is to inspire people and encourage them on this journey in life, which isn't a straight path, so we can connect them to vocation and career, which will allow them to provide for themselves and their families, because there is dignity in work and career, and we should embrace that.
Well, that's the key word for me is to inspire, because I don't know how you grew up, but we were told. We weren't inspired. We were told, and you did it. But it's different. So if you can inspire someone to go after their dreams, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. We had a show about it a week or so ago, 28 years clean.
Congratulations.
But I grew up in a wonderful household. My parents didn't drink. Everything was fine. And somewhere along the line, there was something about me that I didn't love. And 28 years ago, I found out what that was, and that life is good. But that's that second chance. But the inspiration to talk to someone who's not been inspired and who doesn't know what their gifts are. And that's one of the things that you alluded to that we talk about, and I think you do it on a daily basis. When you walk through that door, there is a chance. This is the only city, and District of Columbia,
That's so
which will
true.
be a state, and I've lived in New York and Philadelphia, many other cities and states, where you have that opportunity to get a grant, to start a new business, to get job training, hair training, to put it all in one building.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, I meet people all the time from across the country, and they say, "You do what?" Or "You give people what?" Or even the all of the grant work that we do that I'm really proud of. We give people, not these large organizations, but we will take people who has an idea, just an idea, and they want to bring that idea to scale to better people. That is central to what we do at DOES. I believe in people, and I believe in the good of people. And you said something about self-love. And as a Black woman, I had to understand that I have to love, myself, yes, but also being Black and being a woman. And because I do, and like I said, I had an opportunity to go to Johnson C. Smith, where it was full of encouragement and love and inspiration about being Black. I woke up many mornings thinking about how much of a gift it was that I was an African American woman, right? And I still feel that same sort of love and excitement and inspiration, and I get to see all of the beautiful brown faces that come into the agency, and I still feel that love and compassion. And that's what pushes me to pour in to people, because when I see them, I love them, because we share the same lived experience. Now, none of us have had a straight path, but it's something about that unites us, that aligns us, that makes me want to continue to pour in. And that's how I get motivated every day. That's why I'm not tired doing this, because I see the potential, I see the hope, I see the opportunity, I see the learning that takes place. We're not talking about academic learning, but it's that learning of self, the learning of resiliency, of hope, of love. All of that takes place at DOES, and a lot of folks don't know it, but for those who have come through our agency, many of them have had that similar experience.
And, everybody's not going to get it, but the people who do, it's that life-changing. It's every time we mention the Marion Barry Summer Youth Program. I don't know a person who is not from Washington, whether if they're 60, 40, 30, that was my first job.
That's right. That's right. And next year we'll be at the 45th anniversary. Next year we just finished our 44th year, and the program is still alive and well and kicking.
And funded.
Oh my God. My first summer youth employment job, which was many years ago, I won't say, but in Seattle, Washington, I think it was like $3.85 an hour. It wasn't. And we have some kids making $17 an hour, $15 an hour. But besides what they make, they learn important
and the experience, and you have that opportunity to stay there, or to make.
Yes.
To me, and this is what we emphasize to our kids, is the connection.
Yes.
You are privy to something that other sectors of the population do all day, every day. Their mother is friends with someone's father that's head of a corporation. They're at a cocktail party, and my daughter needs a job. We are doing that for you. Now.
Yes, yeah. Well,
do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest predictors of success professionally is experience. And one of the factors that leads a candidate to getting a job is experience. And so what I saw early on is that there were young people who had the same age, same sort of interest and background, but the young person who had the experience at work got the opportunity and job. And a light bulb went off. So now, and this is the chain breaking, institutional barrier disruption work that I'm doing. Now I'm on a mission to make sure Black and brown kids have experience in the workplace. So then when they're competing in the market,
that's one less check.
That's one less check. And the playing field is leveled because now they got the internship, the same one for the parent who knew the president of the corporation. Now the playing field is level, but that experience is a game changer. And so that's what we're trying to do. People think sometimes with SYEP it's just about a summer job, but we're disrupting cycles and years of racism by trying to level the playing field and get our young people the same sort of experience, the same sort of opportunities that other affluent kids have. People don't know that about SYEP, but that's what's happening in
That's
SYEP.
what's happening, and they're coming back, and the kids seem to be happy there. Sometimes when they start a little bit, they're like, I'd rather be, but then they start getting into it. And
Yes.
when you start challenging them, and this is like, I see this drawing, I like this. What are you doing about it? We had one young woman who looked at we had the first African American astronaut.
Oh.
And she looked at her uniform and she said that it didn't look comfortable. She could do a better job. Now, she's been sewing with her mom since she was 8.
I love it.
So she's designing. She should be finished. I should be hearing from her like in the next few weeks. And then we have a contact that we're going to send that to.
I love it.
Do you know what I mean? So it's all of that kind of stuff.
Well, you're pouring into them.
Well, they're there.
Yeah.
And it's untapped resource. Like these kids,
Yes.
I've never thought about that, and I've been in fashion for 30 years.
Yes.
I've never looked at a uniform and said, I think this could be, a little more comfortable. Let's design something.
I love it.
So I applaud the youth that you're helping. How does fashion play in your career?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So I've talked about being a mom. And so that is a part of my fashion, and I'll tell you why in a second. And then the role that I am, and I've talked about this, I think right now I'm one of 3 African-American women who hold either State Secretary of Labor or Commissioner of Labor or Director positions in the country. And it's really important that I show up in a way where I'm respected, where I'm heard, and where I'm taking up space because I do. I fill all the space that I can. Sometimes I knock other people's, so I not knock, but I just make sure that I am rightfully taking my seat because I hold this role. And so my own personal style is really based on kind of all of those things combined. So because I'm a mom, it's got to be easy. It's got to be wrinkle-free.
Okay, so you're not doing a lot of linen.
Oh, no. It's got to be comfortable, right? And it has to be effortless. And so I love suits because I can put them together. And now there's a lot of great options for women, and in terms of suits and the cut and the tailor. It could be tailored. But because I am really still in a male-dominated field in terms of leadership, I like to be put together. I like to show up in a way that looks respectful and taken serious. And so, you may see me in more dark colors more often, but you'll also see me in, if I like something, I will buy it in every single color that they have because if it works and it fits well,
it's good.
It's good,
yeah.
Right? But there's one other thing that's important in terms of my own personal sense of style. I went to school in the South. like I said, I went to Johnson C. Smith. I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and so what was instilled in me at at that early age is self-respect. And, I've come a long way. I remember I used to have to wear my dresses, which were T-length. I had to wear stockings. I don't have to wear stockings now. But there was an emphasis of self-respect, not a particular style. But that as an African-American woman, I should take pride. In myself.
Effort.
Yes. And
time.
Yes. And so.
And thought.
And so I do it in a way that's easy because I'm a mom, right? But I really had a model of African-American women who, and it wasn't about name brands or anything like that, but it was about being proud to be a Black woman. And so you see that in my my own personal style. I'm surprised I don't have pearls on today, but I'm usually wearing pearls.
Okay.
But it's about being proud to be, or being a Black woman. It's about being respected. And it's about showing up, taking space, my rightful space, in a way that is also easy and comfortable.
So I have two questions. How do we, and I say we because it's not just you or your team, it's us, our listeners, everyone as a village, how do we help our young, our old, or know the importance of good hygiene, clothing, and we're not talking about having to go to get name brand stuff, but being trained by your eye to know good quality things, not just being sold by a brand, to know if I have $300 and I'm starting a new job, maybe I'll only spend $100.
That's right.
And then buy clothes that I can wash and hang up. All of those things, that it's important.
Yes.
It's still important.
It's still important. I mean, I remember starting out here after college, 22 years old, and not having even $100. And I'd go to a thrift shop right there on South Dakota, the Goodwill, right? And you can find some classic staples, timeless staples in your closet. Less than $50 if you have a black pant and a black jacket, and maybe a skirt if you're a lady. If a gentleman, a dark blue, pant, a black pant, a blue or black suit jacket. You can do a lot with that during the week, right? Yeah. And so I think it's about staples that are timeless that you can have, that will carry you a long way. I'd rather see someone see me in the same kind of combination, suit one day, pants, blouse another day, jacket, skirt. I'd rather someone see me in that same combination all week, but it's timeless and it's classic and it's presentable and respectable, than spending a bunch of money
for one time
and you can't use it. So, I think timeless staples is the best bet. And you can find those pretty inexpensively. There's a lot of different options that exist. One thing that we do for our participants is we actually gave a grant to Martha's Table. To outfit our participants. And so there are a lot of great options that Martha's Table has. And guess what? If you come to DOES, you don't even have to pay for it. We will provide it at no cost. So now there's options for everyone.
So there's no more excuse as well.
There's no excuse.
That's what I want to address too. How do we, with all the things that are going on, not just in this city, but across the country, what is the answer or the road of inspiring, or what do we do about our youth that are not getting it?
Yeah.
That's a hard, you know what I mean? And it's not a governor's responsibility totally. It's not a mayor, council, yours. It's as a group, I think, from home. and we talked about this, there were certain things, at 1 o'clock, when I was living in my parents' house, at 1 p.m., at 1 a.m., or anything after maybe 9 or 8, up until 6 a.m., my parents, actually they knew where I was all the time, but during those hours, there was no sneaking out or saying I was able to do something that I wasn't supposed to do because I wasn't at home. And I know, we were talking about incarceration and people coming through DOES. These are things that I know you see. Yes. Unfortunately.
I think there is not one answer in terms of a solution. I will tell you, though, I think looking at people's value systems today will give us insight on what the answers to some of the challenges we have. So, if you value the importance of respect, and if that is instilled in you, I'd argue you're less likely to be out at night disrespecting someone. See, I'm not even sure that some of our young people and families have the language to put towards or to describe and identify some of the behaviors.
Can we change it now that so let's say that they've not had that.
Sure.
And when they come to you at 18 or they're coming from incarcerations, do we have the ability, is there something that we can do that will help that along? I know for me, being in Alcoholics Anonymous, is it says you must have the desire. So if you don't have the desire to change or want something better for yourself, is there something we can do?
Yeah, and so I think so. I'm still very hopeful. I haven't given up on anybody. And, how do you know desire if you haven't seen it? How do you know that there's better if you haven't seen it? And I think it's like a lot of the work that we do at DOES to show people the potential, to show people what the other side of it looks like. But I think absolutely there is hope, and I still think that you can change and redirect people. And I will tell you, a big part of my own professional philosophy is going to people in the community, people like you, people who have been incarcerated, that have a story to tell, and leveraging that experience as expertise on how to get there.
Well, we are going to end on that note. God, I could talk to you forever.
We could.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you. We've had Dr. Unique Morris Hughes, Director of DOES, Department of Employment Services. Thank you for coming on. How can we get in contact with you? Are you on social media, LinkedIn?
Yeah. So a couple of different ways.
Okay.
DOES.dc.gov is our website. Okay. There is a link to reach me, Ask the Director. You can always click on that link and shoot me an email. Okay. I am on Twitter, although not as active, at Dr. UMH. Okay. Or Dr. @Dr_UMH. Let's see. We also have LinkedIn, Facebook. Well, perfect. Lots of ways to get in contact with me through DOES, of course.
Well, you have to promise to come back.
Absolutely. All right. I would love to.
Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you for listening. And this has been tuning in to Inside Style, DC Radio 96.3 HD4. I am George Worrell, and remember, real style starts with being comfortable in your own skin. We'll see you next time.
In DC, for DC. DC Radio, 96.3 HD4 and DCRadio.gov.